everybody. How are you? I hope you're doing great today. It is a freezing cold day in May here in Boston, and I have my heat on. I don't know why it is so cold today, but I guess that's what it is when you live in New England. Anyway, so today we are here as we do every single Wednesday for our member spotlight, which is just a wonderful opportunity to drop in on a Craft Industry Alliance member and learn more about their business. So sometimes we get a little studio tour, sometimes we get to see some samples of somebody's work or products. Sometimes we get to hear a little bit about their business journey, and it's always a very inspiring and fun with Sara Barnes. And Sara is someone that I love, and I love what she does. And I've loved her blog and newsletter for a long time. So, Sara, welcome.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's so great to talk to you, and I'm really excited to learn more about you. So, tell us a little bit, and you've done a lot of different things. So, tell
Mhm.
us a little bit about maybe the overview of your business currently.
I currently run Bear and Bean, which is call it like an embroidery studio. I consider myself like a embroidery illustrator. My background formally is I'm a formally taught illustrator, so I kind of like to make that distinction. So I embroider a lot of custom pet portraits for folks, and then I also help you make your own menagerie with DIY kits, patterns, and workshops that I lead. And it's all centered around animals. So I do, like I said, do a lot of custom pet portraits, but I also do a lot of work illustrating wild animals and helping folks learn to stitch them.
And what is it that you love about embroidery?
Yeah, so for me, it kind of goes back to collage. My background, I said, is illustration, but I used to do a lot of collage, mostly because I wasn't as a strong of a drawer as I would have liked. And so I like that embroidery, like collage, doesn't have the same sort of rules. Like I said, I like to draw a lot, but I'm not the strongest at like draftsmanship. So I just like the sort of freedom that embroidery allows, and it allows me to bring my illustrations to life through thread. So there's a real like tactileness to it, and then also just the amount of stitches that are possible. There's a ton of ways to sort of express yourself through embroidery and bring my images to life.
And what is your favorite type of thread to use? Are you using DMC floss? Are you using pearl cotton or something else?
Yeah, I use a lot of DMC floss, but I also really like Cosmo thread. I think that they have a really nice color set as well. That is a nice offset for some of the DMC colors that I wish were there. I wish it was a more darker brown, not quite black. It's a nice way to offset some of the stuff for DMC.
Okay, and tell us a little bit about the process of ordering a pet portrait because I feel like people are very devoted to their pets. I'm very
Yes.
devoted to my dog. And, they're willing to pay for something really adorable that represents their pet. I would definitely buy a pet portrait. So, what is the process to ensure that, they're going to get something that does resemble their pet that they're going to be happy with?
Yeah, so this is kind of where my background in illustration kind of helped me create this process for my portraits. So with illustration, you're creating a sketch for your client and getting their final approval before you kind of go towards the like final piece. So that's kind of how I approach my pet portraits. So somebody sends me, multiple pictures of their dog, for instance, and then I work up a sketch digitally on my iPad using Procreate, and then we kind of go back and forth. So I don't want there to be any surprises when you get your custom embroidery. So the digital part is really how I refine my drawing and make sure that your pet looks like your pet. Because you know your pet the best. So sometimes I might not get the eye color right, or, they have like wonky whiskers that you want uh, in the embroidery. So that's really where we kind of like refine it. And then once you're happy with it, that's when I start stitching and I can send it to you after I'm done.
That's great. So, do you have any samples around that you can show us? I'm not sure what's around you.
Yes, I'm actually wearing one of my samples.
Oh, great.
My little cat Otis. So I make a lot of patches. My whole thing is um, adorning the things that we already own. That's an important part to me. So having, a patch that you can put on a, like, this is sweatshirts from, it's probably like 6 or 7 years old. It's like a way to sort of zhuzh and make something feel a little more special. So yeah, I can kind of like stand up. I'm working on a bunch of portraits right now that I don't love to share unless they're farther along, or I like them to be a surprise if they're so far along. I like to keep it a surprise for the person. But yeah, so this is Otis. So he's downstairs watching squirrels right now. He's kind of a menace. We love him though. But yeah, so the patches are adhesive and they're permanent adhesive, which is really nice because I can send this through the wash and it will stay stuck. So I wear this shirt a lot. Um, but yeah, and then let me see. I don't have a ton that I want to show because again, I like it to be
That's
a
totally fine.
surprise.
Yeah, I love the idea of getting a patch because I was thinking like a pet portrait, it's going to be something you're going to hang on the wall. But it actually can be something that you can put on your jean jacket or your backpack or like on a sweatshirt, and then you can wear it and it becomes like a custom piece of clothing that way.
Yeah, totally. That was my first, thought about doing them was because yeah, the way I got into doing pet portraits was actually because my husband and I were moving we live in Seattle now. We were moving from Minneapolis and we were kind of just purging our stuff. And he had this shirt that he was going to get rid of, but I had been wanting to try to like stitch something on a collar shirt. So I was like, oh, let me like stitch on it. Let me kind of like play around with it. And so I did that. I stitched two cats. They were just random cats. And people loved the shirt. Like I shared it online and it got a really great response. And one of the first questions after that was like, can you stitch my pet? So I
Mm,
started doing a lot of custom pet portraits on collars. So I do stitch on garments as well, but that requires you to send that to me, which some
right.
people are fine with. But the patches I find are just much easier to like gift, much easier to kind of like, pick where you want it to go. You don't have to like have the garment that you want right at that moment. Um, so the patches are overwhelmingly kind of what's the most popular pet portrait that I do.
I'm curious about how you make an embroidery into a patch. Is there like, are you embroidering it onto patch material or adding
Yeah.
something to it?
Yeah, so I stitch everything on felt and then I will stitch it on felt and then when I'm done, I trim around the embroidery and then I apply it to a second piece of felt and then I add that adhesive backing.
I
Yeah.
That's
So I
cool.
like
Great
stitching on
process.
felt because it doesn't fray.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, no, that's great. I love felt. Okay, and then you also do many other things. So one thing you do is you co-host a craft camp
Yes.
with another one of our Craft Industry Alliance members, Melissa Galbraith. So tell us a little bit about that. And I'm sure you're probably in some sort of planning stage because these things take forever to plan and
Yes.
so many details. So yeah, just tell us a little bit about it.
Yeah, so that is like the best part of the summer. It's a craft camp for adults. We've got Melissa and I have planned I think over 25 workshops over the course of 3 days. So it starts on a Friday, August 1st, and goes through Sunday, August 3rd. It's in Des Moines, Washington, which is just south of Seattle, kind of right by the airport, super convenient if you want to travel. We've got people coming in from across the country, which is super fun.
And it's
But
called
yeah,
Camp Craftaway, just in case
yes.
you want to look it up.
Oh, yes, sorry, Camp Craftway, yes. Um, and yeah, we do a whole bunch of different crafts. So it's really fun. Melissa and I are both embroiderers, but we've got we've got broom making, natural dye. We have a kitchen this year. We're in a bigger space. We've been expanding every year. So we've got cookie decorating, truffle making, got terrazzo. So a lot of things that you maybe have wanted to try, but it's a little hard. The barrier to entry is challenging. So it's a great way to try a bunch of different crafts over the course of 3 days and also build community through the shared act of making.
Yeah, sounds so fun. I would love
Yeah.
that. It's my dream vacation. So that's Camp Craftway. And then you've written a book as well, correct? So do you want to tell
Yes.
us about that?
Yeah. I don't have a copy handy. I should have grabbed a copy, but it's called Threads of Treasure, and it's how to find meaning through thread, basically, in sort of three ways. So the book is all about sort of like the idea of like treasure and how do we explore the idea of treasure. One way is through making things with stuff that we already have. So, taking a treasured object and turning it into a work of art, and then, the idea of treasuring the things we already have and we love, like clothing. So mending, treasuring like the earth as well through the act of like sustainable living. And then the third is treasuring like everyday moments. So that would be, doing a same project, working on that for a fixed period of time. And the way that I do it is there's projects that you can take and make your own. And I also, to help illustrate these concepts, I talked to 13 different fiber artists about their work. And so a lot of the projects are born from the concepts that I talked to the artists about. So we talk about some of their background, their work, some of the ways in which they make their work. So yeah, it was a dream project, super fun. Really proud of how it turned out.
Yeah, and who is your publisher?
Schiffer
Schiffer.
Publishing.
Okay, great. So go look it up. It's called Threads of
Threads of Treasure.
Treasure, by Sarah Barnes, published by Schiffer Craft. So you can go find that book. That sounds amazing. And you also send out a newsletter. Is it still going on? It's called
It
Orts.
is. Yes, I've had an extremely busy month. I've been in 3 markets and then I taught a workshop. And so I just
Wow.
haven't had like the time to
But it's a
re-
great newsletter. So, and I'm
thanks.
a huge newsletter fan. So, tell people can subscribe and get the next one when it's ready. So, tell us what Orts
Yeah.
is about.
Hopefully this week.
Okay.
Hopefully this Friday. Yeah. It's called Orts. So the idea came from like those Orts jars, little clippings of thread. So I like to say it's like, bits of inspiration. So my favorite iteration of the newsletter is called 5 of 5. So it's 5 links of like creatively inspiring things and then 5 ways that you can do things yourself. So yeah, it's called Orts. And when I'm not slammed with like markets and things, I send it usually on Saturdays. So I'm gonna get back
That's
into it.
my favorite kind of newsletter because it's somebody else's curation of the best of the internet, and that is so valuable and so like helpful. So it's a joy to receive. I love
Thanks.
it. Anything else that you wanted to talk about that I might not know about, but that's coming up for you, or other cool projects, etc.?
Yeah, so I mean, the only other thing I kind of have, I've got some stuff in the works that I can't, talk about just yet, of course. But yeah, Camp Craftway, and then I also wanted to share I have my so part of the reason I stitch wild animals is because in 2023 I started a project called 52 Weeks to Miss Frizzle. Originally, it was supposed to be this year-long project where each week I stitched a new wild animal on the same upcycled dress. And it's become, I didn't finish it in 2023. I'm still working on it. I'm like at week 31, I think. So I'm a little more than halfway done. But people really enjoy seeing it. So I haven't shared an update in
Yeah,
a while. So I figured I
I
might
want to see
share.
it.
Yeah. So I'm working on a manatee right now. And this is why I like don't love to share works in progress, because it looks literally like nothing. But it's a manatee, I swear. And but yeah, so this is the dress. So it's just got a whole bunch of like different animals over it.
Oh wow.
And so it's been really fun to sort of see how my style has changed. I kind of started with my first one was this sloth, and my original sort of idea was to just do them all in like, you know, black thread and try to keep them small and fairly simple. But then I really wanted to add a secondary color to sort of give it dimension. And so I started with, the copy is kind of where I fell behind, but they started to be more uh, elaborate, I'll say. But yeah, I've done a ton. So yeah, just
They're so
cap-
cool.
capybara kind of all over. And this has been a really great way. I do a lot of stick and stitch patterns. And so this has been a really great way to just try out different animals, refine sort of the pattern itself to make it something that would be stitchable for everyone. So it's a really great just playground for me. So thought I'd give a
Yeah.
little update. I haven't been able to work on it as much as I like. If I finish the dress by the end of 2026, I'll be really happy.
Do you have
But
plans of where you want to wear it?
no, I mean, I'll probably wear it to like markets and stuff like that. I
Yeah.
already bring it to markets. And because there's folks who follow me because some of the videos have done really well. Because I'll sort of document my process. So people kind of know about it if they follow me. And so if they see me at markets, people have asked about it before. So I'll bring it. So probably wear it to markets when I'm done.
Yeah, I was gonna say it also would be a really cool thing to wear to like a wild animal charity, a
Oh,
charity
yeah.
that supports the rescue of wild animals or the
Yes.
safety of wild animals. To wear to like one of their events or something like that,
Yeah.
just because people would love it and go crazy for it in an environment
Yeah.
like
Yeah,
that.
it's
So
super fun talking to folks who, just throughout the project, who work with animals or
yeah,
also people who live in different countries. They're like, oh, that's interesting. You call that animal this name. They're known as, this other
right.
name in Australia. And so it's just kind of fun connecting with people. It's been a really great way to like connect with people
Yeah, it
because,
becomes a conversation piece both but while you're making it and then once it's finished and you have the opportunity to wear it. So, and I
yeah,
love that idea because it also dovetails with your overall mission, which is to sort of treasure something that you've already owned and turn it into a work of art, which is
yeah,
exactly what this is. And I think will be inspiring to people to say, hey, what can I go find in my closet that maybe is sort of blah and I could bring to life by making it into an art piece that
hmm
maybe you just embroider one thing on it or maybe you embroider all over it, but it just becomes something that you can never get rid of because you love it so much. So
exactly. Yeah. I
yeah,
mean, yeah, you work so hard on it, it just will stay with you forever. So,
right, exactly.
um,
Take that thrifted Old Navy button down or whatever
yeah,
and turn it into something that you're going to totally love. So I think that's
yeah.
super cool. And what kind of workshops do you teach, just out of curiosity?
Yeah, so I do teach a lot of wild animal ones. So I have DIY kits where you can make a patch. So we talked about
Oh, cool.
how I make a pet portrait patch. So there's a way you can make that. Like I have axolotl kits, sea lion, sloth, and red panda kits. So I teach
Fun.
those kits. I also teach a workshop about embroidering like the wild animals on clothing. So that's more of a choose your own adventure where I'll bring the patterns, you bring the garment,
Oh,
and you
that's
pick the
cool.
thread. Yeah,
Yeah.
and then I've started doing custom pet portrait classes. So, that's a little bit higher lift,
Yeah.
but I'll create like a pet portrait for people before, and then they learn how to stitch their animal like in the class.
I see. So
So,
you're doing the design work ahead of
mhm.
time on the iPad, like you described,
Yes.
based on their animal that they've submitted. And then when they arrive at the class, that's ready to go. And then you walk
hmm
them through how to embroider it.
Yeah, yep. And then I'm developing that into like a kit that you can purchase in my store. So,
Mm.
it kind of goes along with that. But yeah, that one is super fun too. It's like I said, it's a higher lift,
Yeah.
but it's really fun to get people to people love stitching their animals.
Yeah,
So
they do. They absolutely do. And I love kits because a kit is something that's all inclusive. The person who designed it is the expert. They're selecting all the right materials for you. So you don't have to do all the hunting around and searching from different sources to find
yeah,
everything. You've got just the right amount, the best tools, etc., and you're ready to go. And of course, it's like also the gateway drug because once you start and do one project, if you like it, which embroidery is really easy to like because it's like coloring with thread, you're
yeah,
probably going to like it. It's really meditative. It's not
hmm
hard. You just have to sort of figure it out. And then once you do, you're off to the races. So
yeah,
it's a great sort of, I think kits are a great way to, for example, introduce something into your brick and mortar shop that maybe is a different sort of craft, maybe your yarn shop or a quilt shop, and you could bring something like that in. So anyway, they're just very fun. So are you doing wholesale or are you just doing direct to consumer?
yeah. I do some wholesale, but I would say mostly I just do direct to consumer at this point. But yeah, I'm trying to get into more like wholesale.
Okay.
The pet portrait kits are a little harder.
That can't be
That
done because
Yeah, that
that's
can't be a
bespoke.
wholesale thing.
Yeah, no, that's a
Um,
bespoke product, but other ones could be. So
mhm.
retailers, I think if you're interested, you can get in touch with Sarah. But certainly, other people watching who just want to try it out can go on your site. And I think being able to embroider your own patch, like a patch kit, is super cool and also very different. I haven't seen kits like that where you're getting all the materials to embroider a patch. I think that's great. So, and especially one that's made on felt that's also a different kind of backing material. So very cool. Yeah, really neat.
Thanks.
So Sarah, thank you so much.
Yeah.
And just
Well,
remind
thanks.
people of your website so people can go right there.
Yeah. So it's bearandbean.shop.
Okay,
So
Bear and
exactly how it
Bean,
sounds.
BEAN dot
Yes.
shop.
Yes.
Okay,
Yep. Bearandbean.shop. Named after my cats. My nicknames for my cats. So
wonderful. So Bear, BEAR, and Bean dot shop. Go over there now, take a look. Thank you so much for being a
yeah.
Craft Industry Alliance member and for coming on today.
Yeah. Well, thanks for having me. It was fun.
It was fun. Okay, see you later. Bye,
Okay.
everybody. Thanks for
Bye.
joining us.